Oh, they come out inside.
Welcome to my channel. So this is Ma'am Ja. So for today, we will discuss factoring polynomials. So why do we have to discuss this? Kasi for the next topic, kailangan natin yung fundamentals ng factoring so that mas madali na tayo makakapag-proceed ng simplifying rational algebraic expressions. So for today, start muna tayo sa factoring polynomials. So there are different ways of factoring depending on the type of polynomials being factored. So first, determine if a common monomial factor exists. So yun yung pinakauna lagi yung titingnan. If there is a common monomial factor exists or the greatest common factor na nag-exist, so i-factor out muna natin siya para mas madali at mas simple na yung mga next terms na ifa-factor natin. So say for example, we have 3x minus 12. So in this case, mapapansin natin, yung ating polynomials ay may common factor which is 3, correct? Since 3 is the common monomial nitong ating given, so ifa-factor out na natin si 3. And the other factor would be, so 3x divided by 3 is x. And negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4, correct? So that will be the factored form na ng ating 3x minus 12. 3 times the quantity of x minus 4. Another we have x squared y squared minus 3x y squared. So what is the factored form nitong ating given? So kung titingnan nyo, meron tayong common factor ulit. In this case, kapag meron tayong exponents, so ang kukunin yung factor ng ating exponent ay yung may least exponent. And then, same things, get the greatest common factor. So we have understood this is 1. Yeah. So greatest common factor ng 1 and 3 is 1. So ang ating ilalabas lang, if a factor out natin is yung least exponent. So we have their x and we also have y squared. Ayan. Nilabas na natin si y squared. So the other factor would be now, so x squared divided by x would be x. Y squared divided by y squared would be 1. And then, pwede natin hindi ilagay si 1 since meron naman siyang variable na kasama. And then, negative 3xy squared divided by xy squared would be negative 3. Correct. So, therefore, the factored form ng ating 1x squared y squared minus 3xy squared is xy squared times the quantity of x minus 3. Last, we have 6 times the quantity of x minus y plus 8 times the quantity of x minus y. So, in this case, what is the common factor or common monomial factor? We have here x minus y. So, ilalabas na natin si x minus y. And then, let us find the other factor. So, 6 times the quantity of x minus y divided by x minus y would be, yes, 6. Plus 8 times the quantity of x minus y divided by x minus y would be a. So therefore, the factored form of 6 times x minus y plus 8 times x minus y is x minus y times the quantity of 6 plus a. Nasusundan pa ba? Kaya pa ba? Yan, kaya pa yan. Kayo nga nahabol niyo yung crush niyo. Okay, what about if we are going to factor binomials? So, we have here different ways on factoring binomials depending on if this fits one of the following situations. So, let us start with the difference of two squares. So, in difference of two squares, so we just have to remember that in factoring. So, what is the square root of a squared? A, correct. What about the square root of b squared? B, correct. So therefore, in this case, in the difference of two squares, so we have here the sum and difference of their roots. So that will be the quantity of a plus b times the quantity of a minus b. Okay, let's take a look at this given. So meron tayong 9x squared minus 25y squared. So, magiging applicable kaya ito sa difference of two squares. So, una, check muna natin if the two terms are perfect square. So, 9x squared, is it a perfect square? Yes, it is a perfect square. What about 25y squared? Is it a perfect square? Yes, that is a perfect square. Since parehas naman ay perfect square, kunin natin ang square root of both terms. So, the square root of 9x squared is the square root of the 9x squared is 3x. And the square root of 25y squared is 5y. So, therefore, applying the rule, so we have here the sum and difference. Yan. So, the factored form of 9x squared minus 25y squared is the quantity of 3x plus 5y times the quantity of 3x minus 5y. Again, nagre-recall lang tayo ha. Because factoring polynomials will be used in simplifying rational algebraic expression. So let's proceed with the second way of factoring binomial. So we have here the sum of two squares. Suppose we have a squared plus b squared. Sabi dito, a squared plus b squared is not factorable. The only factors nito ay 1 and itself. So therefore, a squared plus b squared is not factorable. So, kapag napansin nyo, yung first term and last term are both a perfect square, pero they are separated by plus sign, yun na yun, sagad na yun. That is not factorable anymore. So, that would be the final answer already. Next, we have the sum of cubes. Now, kanina, we have here the difference of two squares. So, ito naman, cubes naman yung given natin. Mapapansin nyo, si a cube and b cube are both perfect cube. And, if that is the case, so i-apply natin itong rule or format in factoring polynomials. Factoring the sum of two cubes. So, first, kunin natin ang cube root ng first term and the last term. So, ang cube root ni a cube, a. Ang cube root ni b cube is b. And if that is the case, so that would be our first factor. Cube root ni a and cube root ni b. And then, the second factor, what you're going to do is just get the square of the first term. So, that will be a squared. Square of the last term, so b, that would be positive b squared. And then, get the product ng first and second term natin. So, a times b. So, ab. But then, this time, kung ano yung sign nitong first factor natin, that would be the opposite sign para sa middle term ng other factor natin. Naintindihan ba? So, let's try. So, we take a look at the example natin, 8x cubed plus 27y cubed. So, first, determine muna natin if these two terms are both perfect cube. So, what is the cube root of 8x cubed? Yes, 2x. What about the cube root of 27y cubed? Yes, 3y. So, therefore, our first factor would be 2x plus 3y. And the other factor would now be, just get the square of the first term. So, 2x times 2x would be, and then the square of the last term, 3y times 3y is 9y squared. And then, for the middle term, so understood na yan, opposite sign tayo. And then, get the product ng 2x and 3y. So, 2x times 3y is 6xy. So, therefore, the factored form ng ating given 8x cubed plus 27y cubed is the quantity of 2x plus 3y times the quantity of 4x squared minus 6xy plus 9y squared. Yung trinomial ba natin is still factorable? So, hindi na siya factorable. Okay? So, that would be the final answer. Now, let us have naman the difference of cubes. So, in this case, given pa rin natin our binomial. And then, let's check if the two given binomial are perfect cube. So, again, ang cube root ni a cube is a. Cube root ni b cube is b. So, ito katulad lang din to ng sum of cubes. The difference here only is the sign. Okay? So, the first factor, if susundan natin yung sign ng ating given. Since this is negative, so the first factor would be a negative sign. So, that will be the quantity of a minus b times the quantity of, again, get the square of the first term, so that will be a squared. Get the square of negative b, so negative b times negative b is positive b squared. And then get the product of first term and second term, so that would be a times b. However, on the sign, kanina, if that is positive, gagamitin natin negative. In this case, kung negative to, magiging positive naman yung middle term natin. Nasusundan ba? So, suppose we have the given x cubed minus 64. Again, check natin if this will be applicable sa difference of two cubes. So, check natin, the first term ba perfect cube? Yes. What about 64? Is it a perfect cube? Yes, perfect cubes is 64. Now, let us find the cube root. Ang cube root ni x cube is x. What about the cube root of 64? 4, correct. Now, follow natin yung sign niya. Since this is negative, so the sign will be here is minus sign. And then, let us find the other factor. Saan lang natin? Ang rule lang natin, square the first, square the last. Okay? So, square the first term, x times x squared. What about negative 4 times negative 4? Okay, positive 16. And then, x times negative 4 is 4x. However, on the sign, opposite ang ilalagay natin. So, that would be positive 4x. So, that is the factored form ng x cubed minus 64. So, that is the quantity of x minus 4 times the quantity of x squared plus 4x plus 16. Again, ma'am, yung trinomial ba natin is still factorable? Hindi na siya factorable, so less na yan. So again, wag ipilit ang mga bagay-bagay. Ma'am, what about trinomial? So how are we going to factor trinomial? So let's start with the square of a binomial. So sa square of binomial, in order to have quantity of a plus b squared, so we need to verify whether the given trinomial would fit to our rule. So, ang rule natin dyan, the square of the first term, the square root of the first term, and the square root of the second term should be twice the product para sa middle term natin. If that doesn't satisfy the rule, then this would not be applicable. Pero if that satisfy naman, so we will be using this pattern. Okay, so let's check nga. Square root of a squared is a. What about the square root of b squared? B, okay? And then, para malaman natin yung middle term, so we have to multiply the first term and the last term. So, a times b, ab, times 2. So, that would be 2ab. And if that is the case, so we can now apply the square of binomial. So, that would be the quantity of a plus b squared. Naiintindihan ba? Okay. Now, what about if we have this given? Now, if we have this given a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, the factored form naman nan is following the rule ng middle term natin. So, that would be the quantity of a minus b squared. Okay? Same rule pa rin naman. Square root of a squared is a, square root of b squared is b. So, a times b, ab times 2, so 2ab. And if that is minus sign, so the factored form would also be a minus sign. So, that would be the quantity of a minus b squared. Okay? So, see the difference? So, let's try. Yan. So, let's try. We have x squared plus 6x plus 9. So, let's see if applicable dito yung square of binomial. So, let's check muna. The first term, what is the square root of the first term? X. What about the square root of the last term? E, correct. And now, let us get the product. 3 times x, 3x times 2 is 6x. Yung ating rule, wherein the first term, the square root of the first term, and the last term should be the product maging middle term natin. So, in this case, applicable ang ating square of binomial. Therefore, our factors are x plus 3 squared. Naintindihan ba? Very good. Okay, what about this one? So, we have here 4x squared minus 20xy plus 25y squared. So, notice muna natin, again, check muna natin yung first and last term. If that is a perfect square. So, perfect square bang 4x squared? Yes. What about 25y squared? Yes. So, let's see kung yung kanila bang mga square root would lalabas si 20xy. So, square root of 4x squared is 2x. What about the square root of 25y squared? Yes, 5y. Now, this would only be possible kung lalabas na yung negative 20xy natin. So, again, multiply 2x times 5y is 10xy times 2. Huwag kalimutan ng times 2. So, that would be negative 20xy. Nasatisfy ba? Yes, nasatisfy. So, therefore, ang sign natin dito, since ang middle term natin is negative, so here, that would be negative. So, our final answer is the quantity of 2x minus 5y squared. Nagets ba, class? Very good. None of these are applicable. So, meron tayong tinatawag na trial and error in factoring, most especially trinomial. So, yung given natin trinomial here, x squared plus 7x plus 12. So, unang-una, kitang-kita naman na hindi naman perfect square si 12, diba? So, in this case, magta-trial and error tayo, wherein we have to get the factors of the first term and the last terms. And then, let's see kung lalabas yung middle term natin. So, the factors of x squared, so, ang numerical value nun is 1. Therefore, the factors are 1 and 1. What about 12? So, the factors of 12 are 4 and 3. Isip lang kayo ng factor. And then, yung iisipin yung factor, yung possible na lalabas yung ating middle term. Now, we have here 4 and 3. So, ang gagawin lang natin, cross-multiply lang natin. So, ang factor ni x squared is x times x. And then, kanina, ang factor ng 12 natin that would satisfy or lalabas yung middle term natin na 7x would be 4 and 3. Then, the signs that we will be using, since wala namang problema, all of them are positive. And then, nag-arrive naman tayo na 4 plus 3 is 7. So, the signs would be positive 4. So, therefore, the factored form of x squared plus 7x plus 12 is x plus 4 times the quantity of x plus 3. Okay, how about if this is the given? X squared minus 7x plus 12. So, in this case, ganun pa din. Hanapin natin yung factors ng first term and then the last term. And let's see kung lalabas yung middle term. In this case, negative 7x. So, isipin natin, ano kaya yung signs ng ating mga factors para lumabas na negative yung ating middle term? So, kanina, yung 12 natin, the factors are 4 and 3 para lumabas is 7. So, understood na natin yan na the factors would be parehas negative. Yan. So, understood na natin na magiging factors natin is parehas negative. So, let's check. X times x, FOIL method tayo. X times x, x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And negative 4 times negative 3 would be positive 12. And then simplify. X squared, negative 3x plus negative 4x, same sign, add, copy the sign. So, negative 7x. And then, plus 12. So, therefore, the factored form natin nan is x minus 4 times the quantity of x minus 3. So, you just have to do the trial and error and then the reverse FOIL method. So, isip lang tayo ng mga factors na malalabas yung ating as middle term. Kasi yun yung critical in this part. Makuha man natin yung factors ng first and last term, but then, kapag FOIL method natin at hindi lumabas yung middle term, still mali yung ating factored form. So, we have to be very careful in factoring.
Only come out at night.